Um, Another game that I've been playing this week, and I actually picked it up and played some more of it. I've been playing through with one of our listeners, Hacker Alias Scoop Jessica, is It Takes Two. Video Game Awards Game of the Year for 2021. And we're about, I'd say, 2/3 of the way through the game at this point. And I think I mentioned this last time. From a gameplay perspective, it's a co-op game, obviously. It is spectacularly made. The gameplay is great. The whole mechanic is that it's always split screen. You can always see the other player's screen. There's a lot of co-op needed, but you don't have the same abilities, and the abilities change every level. So, like, in the last level that we were playing, my character was actually like a wizard. It started as almost like an overhead gauntlet style gameplay area. So like my character was a wizard, so he could like teleport through certain walls, and he could fire ice at things and freeze geysers of lava to create platforms and stuff like that. And then her character had this giant flaming sword, so like sort of she was the muscle, and and could burn stuff and all that. And it was really cool. And that's like every level's like that, and you only have those powers for that level. And then they disappear, and then you're given new powers for the next level. So it keeps it very fresh. And there's, some like side-scrolling platforming thrown in there, and there was like some 3D. There was a really cool scene where we were escaping something as something was blowing up, and we were escaping, kind of like the Millennium Falcon flying through escaping the Death Star. But I was flying this like biplane like thing, because you're very tiny, so they're all toys and they're all huge. Flying this biplane like thing, and then Jessica's character was on the wing, basically playing a one-on-one fighting game. And I mean, it was set up like that. Like there was life bars on the screen and everything like that. So she was like in this one-on-one fighter on the wings of the plane while I was flying it. And I love it when we play that. But one of the things that I mentioned the last time I talked about this, and CJ, I know you've played this game. I don't know if you played through it or not.
No, I didn't finish it.
Okay. So it tackles could be a very touchy subject. And this is one of the reasons why I'm not playing it with my kids, is it tackles divorce. The two main characters are getting divorced. And the whole reason they're in these little dolls is because their daughter created these dolls of them. And in an early scene in the game, she starts crying. She wishes that they would get along. And her tears hit the dolls, and then they get their body or their souls or whatever, their minds get teleported into these dolls, and now the whole idea is that they're trying to escape. They're trying to get back to their bodies, trying to figure out how this happened and how they can fix it. And it's got this really heavy-handed element of, you have to work as a team, which is fine because the gameplay supports that. But it's like, but it's also, it's part and parcel of a greater call for them to repair their relationship and fall in love with each other again, which is really ham-fisted, I find, especially the way it's shown in the game. And the two big problems that I have with it is, one, I don't know, 8 hours now or 7 hours or something like. We're deep into the game at this point. And the game is still sort of hitting the main characters over the head with, you're going to have to work as a team if you want to fix this. And it's like, well, yeah, but we've been working as a team for 7 hours. Like, it's not like it's not like the gameplay is evolving and we're not hitting those eureka moments where it's like, oh man, yeah, we really should work as a team. It's like, you literally can't get out of the first level if you don't work as a team. That's the whole point of the game. So that's kind of ridiculous. And the other thing is that the two main characters are like Jessica and I were both talking about this, and I'm getting the feeling that that's not how the game's going to end. But we want them to get divorced. Like, they clearly are not meant to be together because they can't go 5 minutes without bickering over absolutely everything. To the point that, and it's over the stupidest little things. And I don't want to minimize that some people's divorces go that way. And we actually had a very interesting conversation while we were playing, where the two main characters, one of the most realistic arguments they actually had was about how much the wife works so much, so she's never at home, because the dad is like a stay-at-home dad, and there's a lot of resentment there. And like, Jessica was saying like, well, why wouldn't you, I can't believe that it would have taken somebody into it to a situation like this before they would actually bring something like that up. And I was like, well, actually that feels like the most believable part of the writing to me so far. It's like, but everyone's relationship is different, obviously. But everything else, like there's one stage where you're in a castle and you're on this like trolley, one of those trolleys where you like, it's double handled and you're pumping at one certain,
a hand car.
A hand car. Thank you.
Yes.
And at one point in this big fantastical castle that, the dad built with his daughter, although that's clearly, it's more elaborate than that. The track ends. So then they fight over the fact that he didn't finish building the track. Like it's stupid stuff like that. And it's every time there's a story scene, we're both just like, oh my God, I want this to be over so badly. And I hope they get divorced at the end. But the way the story's going, clearly the whole idea is, they're going to remember they're in love. And like, yeah. So there's all that. So the other big thing that I wanted to bring up, and I know I'm kind of going on and on about this, but like, I really feel like the writing is ruining a really good game. So spoiler alert, I guess, at one point they decide that they figure out that their daughter's tears are what created whatever magic this is that's put them in these bodies. So they've decided that they need to make her cry again.
Yes.
Oh no.
Let's see what happens when we take away the puppy.
It's absolutely that, but not funny.
That's killer
line,
hamster.
That's a great line. So anyway, at one point they get into her room, right? She's sitting on the bed and like she's gigantic because they're these little dolls.
Okay.
And she's got a best friend, or not a best friend, but her favorite toy, which I guess, is her best friend. It's this little plush elephant that's like got like a speaker box on it and everything. I forget what she's called, but she's like the queen of this castle that they're in. So they decide the way to make her cry is they're going to break this toy. They're going to make their way to this toy that's like up at the top shelf somewhere. And then when they get to it, they're going to break it so that she'll cry.
Okay.
It's a terrible plan. So you go through this whole level and you get to this, you fight the boss because this elephant's not the boss. She's got nothing against you. And then you get into this scene where they're talking to the elephant. And the elephant's super friendly. She's like, we're best friends and so is my best friend. And I'm so happy to meet you. And are you, like she's just super, super friendly. And the parents tell her, oh, well, we have to kill you.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
And I'm not kidding. And I'm talking about toys here.
Yeah.
But it leads to this long, drawn out, interactive torture scene where you're dragging this elephant to the edge of a cliff.
Oh no.
To throw her over. And she's begging for her life the whole time.
Oh wow.
And you rip her leg off and like an ear gets pinned on something. So you pull her until her ear tears off. And it's just like, and we're both playing. It's like, this is really uncomfortable. I'm not okay with any of this.
Thank God Ken Levine put the Little Sisters in BioShock all those years ago to inspire a new generation of game developers to also make you do things.
So tone deaf. And this one, like game of the year, and like Andrew Webb in the chat's like family game of the year. It is not.
Family game of the year.
It is. Like, I don't know if people didn't play this far or
they only played the first 2 hours. That's it.
But it's just like
delightful.
We finished that stage and we were both like, up until that point, we hated it when anything story driven happened anyway, because again, the characters are so unlikable and the situation is so ridiculous. But then this happened and we were just like, holy shit.
Jeez.
Like I already wasn't on board with the whole let's make her cry thing, but then we tortured this poor elephant and of course it didn't work. Right? She cried and it didn't work because of course it didn't, because the game needs to be longer. But just like, man, I don't know. Like we were playing that and and then of course that's the point where it's like, okay, that should have been the end of the story. But by the way, we're going to give you 4 pieces of something you have to go and get so that the game is 4 more levels long.
Even in terms of the in-game logic, where
it's terrible logic.
I mean, the kid is sad about the divorce, right?
Right.
So she cries,
Right.
which affects the dolls and her parents.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it theoretically, it wouldn't be about just the physical presence of tears, but what the tears represent, right?
Right.
So if you break this elephant doll,
yeah,
and she cries, wouldn't that
it's a stupid idea.
Create a giant rampaging elephant or something like that?
The second they say it at the beginning of the game, you as a player just like, that's the most moronic thing I've ever heard.
Right. Okay.
Like it doesn't make any sense. And again, you're tackling some very, very touchy subject matter.
Right.
And I absolutely don't want to, everyone's relationship is different. Everyone's marriage is different. Everyone's divorce is different. Everyone gets divorced for different reasons. It's not sort of a one size fits all situation, but they've tackled this really sensitive subject matter with like all the nuance of a sledgehammer. And it's just so infuriating every time they open their mouths.
Jeez.
Like I said, and then this scene was very much reminded me of the No Russians scene.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, if you remember like that scene in Modern Warfare, in a game where the whole point was to shoot and kill people, felt like, I'm not comfortable with this.
Right.
That this is like this game's No Russians scene.
Oh dear.
It's awful. It's turned me completely off of the game. I mean, we're this, I hate that I'd say this now that I've said that, we're this deep in and we want to finish it.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know if there's any chance at redemption at this point. So, yeah, I've been, since we played it yesterday and that whole thing happened, and I've just been waiting for the show to bring it up because it's just like, I didn't know, CJ, like I said, I knew you'd played it, but I didn't know how far you got. I don't know if Charlotte wants to keep playing it. I would kind of say maybe don't.
No, and I think we stopped at the point where the mechanics were getting a little too tough, a little too challenging for her to keep up. So, yeah.
Okay. It's too bad because you strip this out, and gameplay wise, it is a brilliant game.
Yeah,
it is so good. But yeah.
So